Hey, what up? Stampa Brad back at you with law number 23 of the 48 Laws of Power. Law number 23 is concentrate your forces. This is a very simple law. I'd say it's probably the shortest law in terms of number of words, but it is one of the most complex laws in terms of the implications of actually applying it correctly. So the most impactful example that the author used in this chapter to illustrate an example of somebody who applied law and did it in an amazingly effective way and in a very long-standing way is the Rothschild family. So the Rothschild family started with the patriarch. I can't remember his name because it's some really strange, I struggle because there's so many names in this book that I can't recall all of them. And I would have to basically have notes on all of them in order to remember before I shot all these videos. So we'll just refer to him as the patriarch of the family. So he actually started in Germany, and so the Rothschild family is Jewish, and in the time when they were, I guess, like on their come up in Germany, the Jews were basically kept in ghettos in Germany. So in that situation, they basically banded together and basically figured out that if they congealed and became a tight-knit family Jewish unit, they would actually be able to be a lot stronger. And what they focused on is preserving their own culture and really staying super tight and just keeping it, no outsiders, just them, just the Jewish people. So the Rothschilds, when they started lending money, they actually continued that by first off only lending to one prince. So they took care of one royal household, and that's who they lent all their money to. They wouldn't work with anyone else. They're super exclusive as far as who they'd work with. And what that allowed them to do is that allowed them to draw on the power of that one person, and it allowed them to not be diffused. By just really concentrating on that one person, they weren't kind of half in, half out with a bunch of different people. And that's a theme that they continued along with keeping it, like in the family, so to speak, for years further on after there. You're good, you can run by, you're fine. So what they wound up doing is when the patriarch, who I can't remember his name, it's something weird that started with a G. Anyways, when he died, what they wound up doing is they expected him, the whole family expected him to name a principal heir to continue running the Rothschild banking industry and company, and he didn't do that. So the patriarch actually had 5 sons, and he didn't name any primary or principal heir. What he did is he left all 5 with equal shares of the business and left them to run it together. So what they did is they kind of they convened after the father's death, and they figured out that really the key to their ongoing success would be gaining a foothold in banking in Europe in general. So they decided that they needed to, although they needed to separate, they still needed to stay together and keep their family ties super strong, because that had always been the key to their success, and they knew it would continue to be the key to their success. But at the same time, they had to go physically be separated. So what they did was they kept a extremely tight communication network. So although they were not physically together and staying together just in their family, and obviously they were widening their client base as they went out and served more people, what they did is they kept an extremely tight network of informants and couriers, and they actually developed what was at the time the fastest information processing system in all of the world, not just Europe. So they basically had a monopoly in Europe on information. So they would have a political event that happened in France, and the banker in Moscow would know about it before anybody else in Moscow knew. So he would make financial moves based on that information that allowed them to really accumulate a lot of power. In addition to having an extremely tight network of informants and couriers and information transporters, essentially, they also sent all of their messages in, I think it was Yiddish, and so no one could even decipher what it was that their messages said, even if they could capture somebody or like get somebody to talk about what the information was or to give up a message. Only the principal brothers, as a part of the Rothschild family, could even interpret what the Yiddish was, because not only was it in Yiddish, it was also in code. So these guys were crazy as far as keeping information tight, keeping the Rothschild family really close together and not allowing outsiders to infiltrate them. They took it to so far of an extreme, in fact, that they wound up marrying each other's daughters and sons together, which, kind of maybe taking it a little too far, but just goes to show you the Rothschild family is one of the richest families in the world. The way they were able to accumulate that wealth and that power is by keeping their forces concentrated. They focused on one, they weren't diffuse, they focused on one principal effort, banking. First off, they started with just banking for one royal family. Then when they branched out, they still kept it extremely concentrated. So you'll see other instances of this in history. This is a very, very well evidenced law in that Napoleon is very well known for concentrating his forces. I believe it was Genghis Khan is also extremely well known for concentrating his forces. So anybody who you see who experienced really, really high level success was extremely good at concentrating their forces and not allowing their focus to be diffused. They were good at focusing it in, keeping it on one point and hammering that until they were a master or extremely successful at that. It's kind of the idea of being the big fish in the small pond. They achieved that, and then that big fish in small pond syndrome became their platform to go on to higher levels. A contemporary example of this would be Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk, all now known as Gary V, is huge on Instagram, Twitter. He started more on Twitter, but now he's just huge everywhere. He's a mogul, basically. He started in the wine industry. He took his family's wine shop to being a $3 million a year revenue business to I think it was like $65 million a year business. And that platform and the amount of influence he's able to build in doing that and running through that process of building his parents' business allowed him to then go on to be a public speaker and to invest in tech, and then became an angel investor in Facebook and early in Uber and angel investor in Snapchat, and allowed him to really level up his amount of influence. But he did it by, for 15 years, focusing with laser-like focus on his parents' wine shop. So that's what you need to do. If you aspire to do anything amazing or fantastic, you need to be able to concentrate your forces, because here's the thing. You only have a limited amount of resources in life in general, especially when it comes to time. You only have so much time, you only have so much energy. There's a reason the human brain is made to conserve time and energy, and it's because it inherently knows, evolution has taught it, that you don't get infinity time and you don't get infinity energy. So you have to be extremely judicious in where you spend your time and your energy. If you are not, you will not live up to your potential, okay? Again, you will not live up to your potential. You will not achieve your dreams. You will not get the car and the girls and whatever else you want. You won't get it if you can't focus on one thing. You have to stay focused. I see this a lot with people around me who are trying this idea, and then they're trying that idea, and then they're trying this idea, and then they're going and doing this, and that's fine. But the thing that I see is, although that is admirable in their finding out what their potential passion is, a lot of them get so used to changing up what they're doing every 3 or 4 or 6 months that they never lock in and they never get in their groove of just doing their thing, doing their craft, hitting the pavement, just again and again and again, and focusing and concentrating their forces onto the one thing that they're both passionate about and good at. Jim Collins in Good to Great calls that their hedgehog concept. They never find what they're really good at and what they enjoy, and so they never lock in and they never concentrate their forces and are not able to achieve real prosperity that they're potentially capable of, because they didn't focus on one thing. So cultivate that skill. Cultivate the skill of being able to concentrate on one thing, on being able to focus for extended periods of time. I'm talking years. I'm talking being able to focus on one thing. I got a helicopter flying past me, but it won't distract me because I'm focused on you. It's really loud. Cultivate the ability to focus on one thing and not get distracted by helicopters flying over you. If you do that, you will find that your amount of success that you experience goes way past just the one thing that you're focused on. You'll find that people admire the ability to focus because it's a universal human skill. So focus in, get locked in, figure out what it is that you're going to focus on, concentrate your forces, attack it with everything that you've got, go all in, and you will find massive, massive success. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you're not already, hit the subscribe button below and then hit the bell next to it, the notification bell. If you're not hitting that bell, You're not gonna get notified when I'm dropping new vids. And frankly, you're not gonna see them because there's so much in your YouTube feed that literally I'm just gonna get drowned out in all the noise. So save me from drowning, hit the bell, and then also follow me on Instagram. I'm at Tampa Brad. I will look forward to interacting with you there. Thank you for watching. I hope this brought you a ton of value. I'll see you in the next vid. Peace.